Hey, what's up guys, Alex here, thank you for checking this video. And today is quite cold, so I'm wearing a toque or a hat or whatever you want to call it. But sorry for the weird look, bear with me while we keep working on our beautiful Turnip Man. Welcome again. So as I said, I'm freezing today, so I'm wearing the hat because of course Mother Nature decided that I don't need hair, so that's what I have to do, wear a hat to fix that problem. But let's keep moving, let's keep focusing on our Turnip Man, let's continue our wonderful work that we're doing here, or at least like in my opinion, it's looking pretty wonderful. So what I want to do today, I want to continue what I was doing in the previous episode. If you notice here, I stopped the previous episode while I was doing the strokes for the arms. I completed the entire process of doing the strokes for the entire body and the other leg and stuff like that. So I'm pretty satisfied of like the rhythm of how the stroke grows and then it shrinks in specific sections. It has a good movement. So let's keep going. Let's keep doing the same thing on the leaves on the top of his head. Let's merge these leaves here in kind of a proper way. And then let's move on and start doing some details, beginning with some shadows. But let's continue our work on the strokes. Beautiful, beautiful. What do you think? Looking pretty sharp. So what did I do here? Simply, I moved the leaves underneath the body, and then I edited the entire body shape. So I didn't open the layer that contains all the shapes, all the combined shapes of the body. I just edited the body itself. I edited the entire grouped shape, the entire curved shape. So in order to globally edit all the shapes, the entirety of the shape that it's underneath this, that it's inside this group. So I don't need to select shape by shape or all the like sub layers inside this curve grouped layer, and I can just edit the main curve and just have the entire body following the new vertex that I generated. So now let's create the strokes for the leaves. And also in this case, the technique is exactly the same. So let's duplicate this layer. Let's put it in the strokes layer and then go here, convert it into stroke. And let's explode before doing anything else. So let's create this and let's break the curve. Let's delete this vertex and delete these other vertex. Let's move this around here. Let's move this around there. Actually, what I suggest you to do when you do these type of things, because you don't want to edit or create issue with the curvature by moving vertex around and moving the stroke outside the actual shape of like the background shape, the field shape with the color, you can just create a new vertex by clicking on the shape and then deleting the vertex that you need. In this way, you will not risk to just grab the vertex, move it around and disjoin the type of top shape with the bottom shape. So it's just like an easier way to update a stroke without risking to edit the stroke itself, just like grabbing and moving that could create some issue. So this solves the problem, right? And for the leaves, because as I told you in the previous lesson where we were talking about different type of strokes, how we can achieve different type of results, because the leaf we generated with the pen tool, we have a lot of vertex. Like this is kind of insane to manage if we're planning to manage something. So because it's a really complicated shape, I don't want to create too many issues for myself, like to manage this thing. I'm just gonna use the pressure feature of the stroke. So I'm gonna increase the stroke, let's say around 3 points, and then I'm gonna use the pressure to adapt a little bit and create this Nice variation. But of course, at this point, this looks kind of weird, right? Like it's really chubby and it doesn't look sharp as we want it. So because the leaves are not gonna be as hard as it should be the body, like as prominent as the body, I'm gonna use a small trick that probably I should use at the end because it's more like a type of detailing things. But the trick is just not to use black to have the stroke if the stroke is too prominent. But of course it all depends on the type of style that you're adapting, but you can use colored stroke. So it's not so in your face and stuff like that, but it's more subtle and less disruptive for your eyes, not like total black, but you grab the color of your actual filling of the shade that it's filled underneath, and then you put it on a darker level, like you darken it up a little bit and you get this sort of nice result. So that's pretty good. Let's do the same for this. Beautiful. Starting to look pretty nice, eh? With all these shapes. So because I did this, I want to update also the style of the Turnip Man, because if you notice now visually it looks kind of disjoint. We're not using a black stroke here, but we're using it in the body, so it's kind of weird. I mean, it's totally up to you and the style that you want to have. You could definitely have all these strokes completely black and have this type of final effect. Like if you like it, you can totally go for it. But I want to update a little bit my style, and I want to change the strokes that I have here to resemble a little bit the color of the body. So I'm gonna select all my external strokes here, the body, but I'm not gonna touch the eyes and the eyebrows for now. So all the external, let's grab the belly button as well, and then I'm gonna select with the color picker the darkest color that I have, and then I'm gonna apply it here, and I'm gonna darken it up and remove a little bit of opacity, so a little bit of saturation, so desaturate it and darken it, but not completely black. And there you go. Now we have the color that I wanted. Nice. It's looking more consistent. The mouth, I think we should go darker, definitely. The belly button a little bit lighter. And that's it. I'm starting to really like this character. So now, of course, I always like the character. So now basically what we did, we finished all the generic things. We finished the main shapes, we finished the main strokes, we finished the main details that are like the eyes, the eyebrows, the mouth, and the belly button. We finished all the lips. Now it's time to start applying more details, because if we put back our drawings, you can see here how many, like the incredible amount of details that I had here. All these like little scratches and like drawings and nuances, like simulating the Turnip Man. So we're gonna reach that level, but this level of details is just the last thing that you have to do. Now what I want to do, I want to apply the second layer of shades, or like the shadows, because if we reactivate the shade or like the fillings layer, you will notice here I already used some gradients to simulate the 3D effect, and it's looking pretty good. But the next level, the next step that I did in this drawing is having these hard cut shadows that are like attached to the body, and they define way better the shapes, and they define way better the three-dimensionality of this character. So that's what I want to do. Let's create a new layer. Let's call it shadows. Let's leave for now, just for now, the fillings layer deactivated, so completely hidden, and also the strokes, because we don't want the strokes to interfere it. And let's only remember that based on the gradients that we applied here, we have the light coming from this part. So what I want to do, I want to create a new pixel layer. I'm gonna call it like guide, whatever. I'm gonna switch to the pixel persona and use the regular brush. Let's shrink down the brush size here, and let's have orangey color. Let's have boom, boom, boom. Right, so this is just a reference layer, just a guide, just to remind myself where the light is coming from, because I applied already all this gradient. The lightest part is on the back and the darkest part it's on the front. So if I start applying shadows, I don't really know, I don't really remember if my drawing was respecting this logic. Sometimes it was respecting it, sometimes it's not, because you can see I have some shadows here, some shadows on the back of the neck. It's not really appropriate because the light is coming directly from that side, so I shouldn't have these shadows here. That's a good reminder of where the shadow should be. But let's start creating these shapes that they have to be not accurate at all. So let's select the shadows layer. Let's leave it like this regular blue, and let's go back in the draw persona. Let's take the pen tool and let's have just a regular black stroke, and let's start doing this thing. So you can see sometimes I have these snapping guides that are like giving some reference for the other shapes that I have. If you're super annoyed by this, you don't need this, you need to go freely and not getting bounded by snapping, you just deactivate the snapping option here. So I won't have any snapping, and now I can go completely free and follow my drawing. So snapping is really useful when you have to do something more accurate, something more graphically precise. Someone could argue that my Turnip Man should be more accurate, more graphically precise, but I don't really care because I like this type of style, and I feel like beautiful things and beautiful details are in mistakes. They appear when we do some mistakes, when we don't really think of what we're doing and we go kind of loosely free of, we leave our creativity go rogue, and it's kind of what I'm doing right now, and just loosely following my drawing but not too accurately. So let's say that we are like this. What we can do, we can select all the shapes that we're here, or all the strokes, and then convert it into shapes. Perfect. Let's deactivate the drawing, reactivate the filling, and now let's include this shadows layer inside the fillings itself. So let's open the layers of the curve, let's select the front arm, and let's move these initial shadow that we have underneath. I know that it's kind of weird because we are having these shadow layers that it's separated and it should be maintained separated, but the thing is I don't want to take care of following the shapes of my drawing because I already have that. So if I move these layers inside the fillings layer, inside the body, the group body, automatically all the curves that we have, even if they are outside our body, are gonna be cut, are gonna be masked automatically by the body itself. So this is really useful, and I don't have to be worried too much about like, oh, this doesn't properly fit, so I can expand this here, I can expand these here, and that's pretty neat, right? It's like super easy to create this type of curvature and make it fit properly in your drawing without spending too much time in redoing the same exact shapes over and over again. So that's pretty good here, but at this point we have to do it a little bit, right? We have to follow a little bit the shape of the belly because it's a pretty glorious belly, right? And of course, as you can see here now, I'm going kind of free because I'm not following the drawing anymore, and I'm applying a little bit of my own style, my own edits based on what I feel like it's good. Of course, if you're like tracing the character of another artist, you should precisely and exactly follow these other artist guideline or the other artist style. But if you're doing your own drawing, you can totally update it and edit it as you wish, like as you feel like it. If you feel like the drawing should be different from or like the results, these vector results should be slightly different from the drawing, you can totally update it, because of course what you draw most of the time doesn't reflect exactly 100% accurately on a vector shape, so you can totally edit that. We want to create a little bit, we want to follow a little bit these arm. Of course, we're pretty lucky because this arm is not too complicated. We can go with that. But of course, if you're in this situation and your character is really complicated and you have to follow the shape of a character, what you can do, you can simply grab the layer that we have of the arm, duplicate it, extract that part, extract just like this vertex. You can select this vertex and copy paste this vertex so you have only that shape already perfectly aligned with the shape underneath, and then start the shadow from that shape. So everything is perfectly aligned and you're not gonna have any issue for the future. Now, other than looking like a robot, it's kind of like super odd. What we can do, we can first, before editing anything, reactivate the stroke and see how it looks. It looks kind of odd. It's getting like some fancy things, but then we can select, first, let's rename shadow. All these body part, let's rename it shadow so we can keep track of those instead of having just curve. Let's select all these shadow things, select, oops, select, let's go back. And first, let's change the blending mode to multiply. So if we have a shadow, if we have a gradient, if you have something specific underneath, the multiply is gonna borrow that specific effect that we have underneath as a filling. And then let's lower the opacity a little bit. And let's see how it looks like. 60%. That's kind of odd. Let's go down. Ooh. Oh, fancy, starting to look good. Let's go at 40%. Okay, and now let's fix this weird thing that we have here, because this should be underneath the stroke. This, we're losing it completely. So let's go down. Yes, because of course, as you notice, like applying stroke and applying all these other really thick elements that are not in the original drawing are changing the shape and are changing the final aspect a little bit of our Turnip Man. But hey, this is looking pretty darn good. What do you think? Now you can like nitpicky and change one by one. And if you don't like that it's totally black, what you can do, you can simply grab the color of the stroke and apply the same color of the stroke and leave it on multiply, so it's not gonna have a hard layering on top, but it's gonna kind of blend with the layer underneath, and then increase the opacity a little bit. Let's do the same here and increase the opacity. What do you think? I like it. It's looking pretty good. Let's do another small detail here by simply emulating the shape of this thing and then closing it and giving it attachment. Whoopsie, and here, and then let's give it a filling. Look at that, the Turnip Man starting to get three-dimensional as hell. Okay, that's great. So what I want you to do now to conclude this episode is using this exact same technique. So creating a shape that follows the body part where like the shadow should be, and then apply it on all the parts that you have the shadow. Try not to do exactly or like try not to simulate exactly these like small details, but do the big part. Just maintain the big area, so we're not gonna lose our mind in nitpicky details, because we have to create first the initial shadow, like the big shadow. We need to create like these big details, and then we can focus on the small details. If we lose our mind or our attention directly in the small details, we're gonna just completely lose it. So let's keep doing it what we're doing, and it's gonna be awesome. So it's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. And of course, if you want, like, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about the Turnip Man. Let me know what you think about the technique that I'm using. If I should change it, if I should use a different process, or what is your favorite process. Of course, what I'm doing here is not the process. It's not the perfect process that you should follow, but it's something that I like to use. It's the process that I liked to use to create these type of characters, and it's been pretty successful for the past year. So let me know what you think, and of course share with me your experience. If you're doing the Turnip Man, or if you're working on your personal project, just do it. Just share it with me. Just send me a link for your pictures, and I'm gonna be super happy to review it. Thank you again, guys, and talk to you in the next video. Bye!